Phillip Island is home to round 1 of the International GT3 Championship. Get ready, get seated in and get comfortable, because the next 60 minutes of racing action will be intense. Stick around. Phillip Island is a circuit which, to start with, had a troublesome start to life back in the 60s and 70s, has now turned into one of Australia's best motor racing circuits. Home to the Australian Motorbike Grand Prix, World Superbikes, and once to the Armstrong 500, now known as the Bathurst 1000, is now home to a new series, the International GT3 Championship, which between now and December we will be bringing you all of the action here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you may be around the world. Jack Stiles alongside Tom Jacobs with Hugo Luis working the cameras for you today. And well, Tom, a new series has risen and is here to make history. What can we expect over the next 8 months of action?
Well, it's one of the premier GT3 series here on iRacing. I know there's a lot of coveted spots that people want to race, and the guys will be really excited to get into the season. We've got some absolutely fantastic tracks coming up for you. So we've got round 7 will be at Belle Isle Circuit, so it'll be interesting to get that one involved as well. And we've got Spa and Bathurst further along down the grid, as well as Nürburgring, which will be round 8, so that'll be an exciting one for everyone to get their teeth into. Some brilliant teams here as well, and some famous names. Ben Hackerson in there, as well as Favwan El Nabi, Luis Paulo Gallen, and those guys are just completing qualifying as we speak. Other teams as well, Boosted GP in there, as well as Synergy Sim Racing. So really excited to see how the season plays out, Jack.
And well, Phillip Island is quite a technical circuit. I wouldn't say it's really built for GT cars. Obviously, some of the cars we are going to see here today, especially the Mercedes-AMG GT3, are big cars. Luis Paulo Gallen currently rounding corner number 9, Lukey Heights, on one of his qualifying laps. They have a 20-minute qualifying session, just 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining there. We will be having a 1-hour race, and the fuel is going to be limited to 80%, but no compulsory pit stops. And Tom, do you take the pit stop, or do you try and fuel save and get to the end?
It's one of those age-old questions, isn't it? And it's the same thing we saw in F1 at Monaco. Do the guys take tyres? Do they take fuel? And well, they don't take fuel in F1, but do they fuel save or whatever? So, personally, I'd probably take the fuel and then just go on a fast strategy to the end of the race and just see how you can play out the rest of the race there.
And well, obviously coming into the series, there was a couple of big names changing teams. Simon Feigl has left Evolution Racing Team. He is racing as a privateer in this series, one of the only privateers in here. Everyone else is in their own teams of 2 drivers, and they will be scoring points between the Drivers' Championship and the Team Championship as well. Prizes will be up for grabs at the end of the 16-race season, and well, just 1 minute and 15 seconds left in qualifying, and then we'll be able to take you down your grid. Quite a few cars still out on qualifying laps at the moment. Your pole sitter, as it stands, is Favwan El Nabi. He has done a 1 minute 24.283. And alongside him at the moment is going to be Luis Paulo Gallen. We will run you around the rest of your grid when qualifying has wrapped up in about a minute's time. And Tom, just take us through some of the challenging parts of this circuit, because I'd probably say you know here a little bit better than I do.
Yeah, I've raced here quite a lot in the World GT Series and other GT3, including F1 stuff. So turn 1's a bit of a nightmare in GT3 cars. If you take a little bit too much turbo, a little bit too much speed, it can upset you into turn 2. As well as the famous hill halfway through the circuit. If you take that a bit too hard, it will upset the car as you get right over the crest and down into the hairpin. So the guys have got to watch themselves out there, and let's just see what they can do. Hopefully they will have a fantastic race.
They certainly will. Just 10 seconds left until qualifying. There are still cars who will be able to complete, or everyone will now be able to complete the lap. A couple of cars now going to be able to start another lap before the end. The checker flag flies. The 96 is not going to be able to get another lap in, I don't think. So everyone now will be finishing the lap they are on. And we will wait and see if anyone improves their time. Then we'll head you down to your starting grid here on RaceSpotTV. As actually, just looking at it, a lot of cars are stopping, and I think a lot of people will be bailing. And a few big names in this series. We have got some pro drivers from the Virtual Racing School iRacing GT World Championship in the form of Damien McPhee and Pure Racing Team. We've got Follow Me Esports as well. They were in the Sports Car Open Road America 500. Hugo Preto. Actually, they have 4 drivers here today. Hugo Preto, I'm trying to find the other 3. João Oliveira and 2 others as well. I will go and find them for you now. And it's going to be looking as though... yeah, Hugo Preto, Ricardo Ferreira, Carlos de Guias, pardon me, and Leonardo Mark will be your 4 Follow Me Esports drivers. There are some extremely strong teams. A couple of no-shows today as well. Looks as though Synergy Sim Racing have not arrived. Wayne Burke and Andrew Casey are not going to be taking the grid today. So it looks as though the last few cars are going to be finishing off their qualifying laps, and we will take you down to your starting grid. The 097 of Fozan El Nabi is going to be taking pole position for round 1 of the International GT3 Championship. Alongside him is going to be Luis Paulo Gallen. Row 2 is going to be Damien McPhee and Anthony Winkleman. Row 3, Ricardo Ferreira, and alongside him in 6th position is going to be Reese Gukel. 7th, John Piesnick, a masterful master of these GT3 machines. Usually sitting in a Ford GT3, today in the BMW. Brad Watson going to be lining up 8th. Carlos de Guias is going to be 9th. Alessandro Bachilega is going to be rounding out your top 10.
Phillip Worley takes 11th, and beside him will be Kenny Rooson. Danny Davison is in 13th, so let's see what he can do moving up through the grid. Luca Friavaranti is he's down in 14th, and Amory Brondell is in 15th. Ross Rizzo 16th. Hugo Preto, quite a famous name and known quite well, is in 17th. Lawrence Derick is in 18th. Simon Fagel in 19th, and Clint Shane Smith rounds out your top 20 today.
João Oliveira going to be lining up 21st with Nicholas Laubich. The other Pure Racing Team driver in this series going to be lining up 22nd. Joshua Skin in 23rd and Victor Smolczyk in 24th. Cedric Berlin in 25th. Jacob Schuley in 26th. Leonardo Mark in 27th. Nick Cummings in 28th. Martin Silvessi in 29th. Dylan Shepard is going to be rounding out your top 30.
Jake Burton starts in 31st, so he's going to have a bit of a work to do today. Paul Mansell beside him in 32nd. Jamie McKnight in the number 27 car starts 33rd, and Guy Leach in 34th. David Von Broek in 35th, and Jordan McDonnell in 36th. Neil Sentowski is in 37th, and Chris Hill in 38th. Jacobo Sigocli, sorry if I got your name wrong there, in 39th, and Nick Rowland, he rounds out your top 40.
John Roberts is going to be your final starter of your 41 grid in the number 86 Ferrari. Everyone now taking their place on the grids. We will have a 1 lap pace lap, I do believe, and then we'll be going green for 1 hour of racing here at Phillip Island. And well, Tom, it's not only about strategy, and it's not only about pace, but it's also about survival. This place can bite if you get it wrong.
Yeah, it can do, can't it? But the guys will be raring to go. They'll be quite excited to get going for the rest of the race. They just need to watch themselves out there, especially coming into turn 2. If you bunch yourselves up, and a lot of guys will check up coming into there, it can end quite nastily, so you could ruin the rest of your race. So they just need to watch themselves. The BMW, I believe, is normally quite a quick car here, just with short wheelbase. So I'm interested to see how this pays out for the guys.
Yeah, it just looks as though 6 cars were available for this series. The 6 GT3s we have on the iRacing service, it doesn't look like anyone has taken the Ford GT. So everyone is either going to... just looks as though your top 5, actually, we have 3 cars in the top 5. They are the Mercedes, the Audi, and the BMW. No McLarens in this series, actually, so everyone is going to be taking Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. We have 1 Ferrari, though, for John Roberts, the number 86 boosted machine down at the back of your grid. The iRacing rough pace car has set off, and he's going to be completing 1 lap. The 2 teammates of Fozan El Nabi and Luis Paulo Gallen will be leading round to the start. And Tom, that start has got to be so important because you've got to make it through those first couple of corners. Dohan corner, turn number 1, and Southern Loop, turn number 2. It's going to be important, but also the bottleneck of Honda corner, turn number 4.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle for them, isn't it? If I was the front runners, the main thing is to try and keep safe and break away, especially for the guys that are on the inside at the start. So Luis Palagallon will be looking to defend his teammate from Damien McPhee and Anthony Winkelman behind him. So he's going to have his work cut out there. I'm not really sure what they're going to do on team tactics-wise, whether they're going to let El Nabi go ahead of the championship or whether they're going to let those guys race. So it's going to be a good one, this, Jack. It's always a really good circuit, as we say. It's normally for bikes, but for GT3 stuff, I've raced it before, as have you. So we'll have to see how these guys pan out.
And well, obviously there are different formats to each round. Today we're running the standard format, which consists of one 60-minute race and 80% limit on the fuel tanks. Or some rounds we might have what we call the endurance, which will be a 2-hour race, solo driver, and slightly less fuel. You'll be allowed only 70%. Sprint racing and the sprint racing weekends, they will be 2 races, 2 30-minute races, and they will be, for the second race, the top 14 will have a reverse grid, and then for some events we might have the super sprint, which is going to be a 15-minute race, and then a 15-minute race where you're gridded by where you finished in race 1, and then a 20-minute race to round off the event, gridded by how you finish in race 2. So those super sprint events is going to be important going into that final race time, where you finish in race number 2, and again with race number 2 where you finish in race number 1.
Yeah, it's going to be important for them there, isn't it? They're going to have to... it's a different driving style each time for them, depending on what round they're going on. So the drivers are going to have to learn to adapt, as I'm sure most of them know how to do that. But they're going to have to learn to adapt to each driving scenario. Of course, you've obviously got weather plays into it as well for the sprint races, because if you muck up on a sprint race, not really much chance of coming back from that. As who do we see pull off there? Looks like John Peisneck there. Don't know whether that was possibly netcode or something, but he seemed to pull off. Now he's got rear damage as well as his teammate in the formation lap there, Jack.
Well, unlucky for that number 10 machine of I can't remember who that was, but he has stopped by the looks of it. Rough pace car is going to be down onto pit lane. Luis Palagallon and Fozan El Nabi leading around the grid. El Nabi gets the jump. He's going to go. He's got a good jump over Luis Palagallon, and they have gone. Damien McPhee going to be holding third. A little bit of side-by-side behind between Ricardo Ferreira and Rhys Gukill. Going to go 3 wide into turn number 1. John Peasnick behind. He has got rear damage to that BMW. 3 wide, very close. Rhys Gukill going to jump out of that one. Then he's going to lose a couple of positions. Still side-by-side between Damien McPhee and Ricardo Ferreira. McPhee going to hold the inside line to turn number 2. We have got a car stop coming off of turn number 1. That is the number 336. There's contact between Ricardo Ferreira and John Peasnick. Ricardo Ferreira is going to head off into the gravel. 2 cars are slow out of turn number 1, the 336 and the 23. That is Luca Fioverati and Phillip Worley. Not had the start they wanted, but Fozan El Nabi, what a jump, Tom.
Yeah, what a brilliant start from him. He knew exactly what he was doing, didn't he? It reminded me of Sebastian Vettel in Baku earlier on this season, as we just see a little bit of contact between one of the Mercedes.
Simon Feigel's off as well. Simon Feigel's gone off at turn number 6, up through the Siberia hairpin. We've got contact behind as well between Jordan McDonald. Big contact between and with a TTR machine as well. Going to find out who that was. There is Jordan McDonald is going to be on his roof and not having the day he wanted here at Phillip Island. That just looks as though everyone got a little bit messed up. Actually, there was both teammates, Jordan McDonald and his teammate, both got flipped onto their roof there, Tom. And carnage towards the back of the grid. Ben Hackerson in the booster Mercedes caught up in that one as well.
Yeah, that'll be a shame for him, won't it? Because as we know, Ben's quite a quick driver in GT, and we've seen him in the series as well, so he'll be kicking himself in that boosted car. As we just see a little bit of Brad Watson coming under pressure now as he comes over the line. And who is that there? That's, excuse me a minute, that is Ricardo Ferreira. Makes the move on him there. So he moves up a little bit as we go through turn 1. All the guys starting to settle out a little bit now. Out in front there, Fazwan El Nabi, he's starting to pull away from his teammate a little bit, so they're going to be playing the long game there. Looks like they seem to have this really well settled down now with all their strategy and things. It's Damien McPhee looks to be the only one who can really challenge John Peasnick. I'm interested to see how he plays out, Jack, because he has got damage to the rear of that car at the moment.
We have had an incident through turn number 2, and in fact that's quite a big one coming into turn number 1. That was set up quite a long way before. Looks as though Joshua Skin in the 848 Mercedes got sideways and had a little bit of an incident with the Triton racing car of, let me find out for you, Victor Smalczyk in the 93 managed to get away with it nice and cleanly, but there was a bigger accident behind. Did look as though there was a car off as well in front of him, and in fact there was 2 incidents coming into turn number 1 that time. Amory Bundel in the SRT Esports Mercedes got knocked off as well, so it just looks as though a couple of drivers are out. Jacob Shuey got hit from behind by what looks like a TTR esports car of Jacob Burton as well there, Tom.
Yeah, unfortunate for these guys, but as we said at the start of the race, Jack, it's at Phillip Island is quite a narrow circuit, especially in turn one. It can be extremely dangerous if you're going to go and put a move on someone. So a couple of the guys further back down the grid there making moves which kind of upsetted their race. I don't know if they're going to be able to get back out on repairs and then start to make up places again. Obviously now the teams will have to change around strategies here at Phillip Island. But as we see now, our leaders are starting to pull out a little bit of a gap. But Damien McPhee there, he's doing quite well up in third, and John Peasnick as well starting to put pressure on him, Jack.
Yeah, El Nabi as well, setting purple times at the moment. Last time around, 125.001. Yeah, set the fastest lap of your race. A lot of cars out already. Nick Rowland, Jake Burton, Anthony Winkleman, one of the guys who we saw setting good lap times in free practice there, Tom. He is out of this race already, and there are some big names gone. And we haven't even got to 10 minutes into this race yet. But El Nabi setting the pace. Luis Paulo Gallon, one of the best drivers in Australian sim racing. He just cannot match him. Damien McPhee behind. That is going to be your top three as it stands. John Peasnick with his BMW that looks like it's been thrown off a cliff, which is very easy to do here at Phillip Island. Bearing in mind the circuit is built on the edge of a cliff, basically. He's going to be sitting in fourth. Carlos Dieguez, he has had a good start. A little bit of damage on his number 26.
Sorry to cut you off there, Jack. Sorry to cut you off. We've lost Kenny Roosen there. Got caught up with Hugo Preto as well as they were coming into the over the hill there. So a little bit of a jostle there for 9th, 10th and 11th place as in front, Danny Davidson. There's a big off there. So Hugo Preto goes through the middle and we've lost, who have we lost there? We've lost Danny Davidson, and Kenny Roosen makes it through alive as well. So good job for those guys, but Danny Davidson is now in the gravel trap. So a little bit of a crazy move there coming into the last corner, Jack.
Yeah, Alessandro Bacilega was the car who we lost coming through turn number 10 that time. It also looks as though there has been some action, as Tom just said. We have lost more drivers as well. Looking back through the field, a lot of cars have got quite a lot of damage, and Hugo Preto in Follow Me Esports car not having the day he wanted, although he did do well to avoid both of those cars. He made contact straight through the middle, then just about enough gap for his number 77 Mercedes, as the SRT Esports cars ahead of him had a little bit of a tangle. That wasn't Kenny Roosen by the look of it, that was someone else. I'm not sure who that was. There was SRT and not having the day they wanted here, Tom.
No, they're not, are they? They'll be kicking themselves because they seem to be quite quick in practice and they would have been eager to make up places. But as we look a little bit further up the grid now, Oliveira's got massive pressure from Hugo Preto, and the other guy is in the Audis there. So the Audi seems to be going really well here. The Mercedes is coming under pressure actually. We've known for quite a while, Jack, that the Audi seems to be the car of choice, the GT3 at the moment, and it's what I'll be driving for the next season coming up, the World GT. But Nicholas Lubisch, he's putting a lot of pressure on João Oliveira there to try and, as they go up the main straight and across the line to start their next lap. So interesting to see what he can do from that position there.
Yeah, Hugo Preto looking like he's just going to be sitting back and waiting. João Oliveira did manage to get his way past Nicholas Laubich, who is the number 723 Audi, teammate to Damien McPhee. Nicholas Laubich is currently the last position in the top 10, sitting in P10. But Hugo Preto looking like he's going to try and put a little bit of pressure on João Oliveira. Did he go wide coming through turn number 2? No, he didn't. Nicholas Laubich not close enough to make an effort. Hugo Preto going to be on the back of Nicholas Laubich coming through 3 up into Honda corner. He's looking. He's going to look left, looking right. Can he put his nose down the inside on the brakes? I think he might try to. Yes, he will. Coming down into Honda corner this time. No contact. Hugo Preto nicely up the inside. Nicholas Laubich has been put in a pretty compromising position there. Still side by side as they head up to Siberia corner, sorry. Hugo Preto going to jump out of that for now, leaving the position to Nicholas Laubich.
Yeah, there was a little bit of trade in paint there as well, wasn't there? That was brilliant racing from him. Well defended by Nicholas Laubich there. He knew that Hugo Preto was going to stick one up the inside of him, stick his nose right up into the corner there, but he managed to make it stick. And Nicholas Laubich is round there. As he's coming over the hill, he managed to put his front left on the grass, and he'll be absolutely kicking himself, Jack, after that brilliant defensive move. He's now thrown it all away.
Lukey Height strikes again. Nicholas Laubich is going to drop down to position number 12, it looks like at the moment. Kenny Roosen going to be making up a couple more positions. In fact, actually, we've got 2 wide down the straight between Kenny Roosen, Roos Gukil, and Carlos Diego. This is 4P number 5. Kenny Roosen's not going to get involved in that, but the BMW of Reese Gukil goes up the inside. Carlos Diego is going to defend hard from Kenny Roosen. Ricardo Ferreira wants some of this as well. This is a 4-way battle now. João Oliveira a little bit too far behind to challenge. But Ricardo Ferreira looking like, does he want to make a move on Kenny Roosen? Don't think he's going to be close enough down into Honda corner. But Carlos Dieguez has got a lot of damage on that number 26 machine. Kenny Roosen doesn't, so he's going to try and have a look down the inside. Here comes Ricardo Ferreira, not close enough to make a move at the moment. The Follow Me Esports Audi just going to sit back and wait as they head up into Siberia for the 6th time.
Yeah, a brilliant fight there by these guys, but Ferreira really starting to put the pressure on Kenny Roosen. Kenny Roosen puts one wheel on the dirt there, so they're just going to follow each other through for the rest of the lap by the looks of it. Kenny Roosen will be thinking to himself, how can I get past now? So he's going to be really fighting hard. Ferreira there, he's having a little look up the inside as they come into the last hairpins of the circuit, Jack. And there's a little bit of trading paint, so this is a brilliant fight here at Phillip Island today.
Yeah, good onboard shot from what I'm seeing on board with Ricardo Ferreira at the moment. You can see how much these guys are trying, how much track they're trying to use, and even more as they come through the final corner, come through Swan Corner to head down to Duhan Corners to start lap number 7. Will anyone try and put a move down into turn number 1? Kenny Roosen going to look down to the inside of Ricardo Ferreira, and is he going to be able to get the move done coming into turn number 1? I think he might be able to. Ricardo Ferreira just going to let him have it. A little bit of dust being kicked up from the gravel that's been put onto the circuit. So Kenny Roosen going to move his way up into P number 6 now. By the looks of it, Reese Gukel trying to run away with it. Ricardo Ferreira, though, he does not want to lose that position. He is going to fight it to the very end. And if they keep fighting like this, it's going to allow João Oliveira to close up the gap. We're going to have a 5-way fight for P number 5.
Yeah, there's going to be a 5-way fight there, isn't there? But looking a little bit ahead, Reese Gukel actually is keeping his cool at the moment. He's losing a little bit of time to the front runners, but that's to be expected. The BMW here, as we say, is very strong in the corners, Jack, but it does lack a little bit of top-end speed, which seems to go to the Mercedes at the moment. But these guys all now starting to settle down. Obviously, they don't want to ruin their races. They want to make up places, but the last thing you want to do is to end up ruining your race at the end bit. As we see there, that Kenny Roosen, they're coming over Lukey Heights there, gets a little bit out of a shape in the Mercedes. So, as I said at the start of the race on the formation lap, Jack, coming over Lukey Heights can really unsettle the GT3 car here.
Lukey Heights is a tough corner as well because the car will go light and you're still wanting all that grip to turn, and there might not be any there to make you, or for you to be able to get through the corner. Sorry. Biggest mover and shaker so far in your race is going to be Paul Mansell in the number 5 Mercedes AMG GT3. Ricardo Ferreira down to the inside of the Follow Me Esports car of his teammate Carlos Dieguez. Those guys are going to play it nice and sensible and just play it nicely. Ricardo Ferreira going to be able to make his way through up into P7. Kenny Roosen now going to be making his way up towards Reese Gukel, and he wants to challenge for that P5. Still at the head of your field is going to be Fozan El Nabi. Luis Paolo Gallon going to be 1.7 seconds behind. Demu McPhee just under a second behind him. And at the moment, Tom, those 3 guys are just not keeping it nice and clean, probably just trying to save some fuel so they don't have to make as long as a pit stop at some point in this race.
Yeah, they'll be thinking that, won't they? But you've got to hand it to Damien McPhee. He's not losing those 2 guys at the front who thought Jack was going to really run away with this. I'm liking the line that the guys are taking through Lukey Heights there, just sticking one tyre on the grass. But El Nabi will be biding his time as they're starting to, you can just see there, they're very much starting to come up to some back markers now. The back marker's just going up to start-finish straight, as well as a few guys who have fallen behind. So this really is a race of attrition here. They need to keep their cool and then work out what they're going to do strategy-wise further on in the race.
Yeah, definitely strategy is going to be important because every second you're on pit lane is seconds that you lose out on the track, and you want to try and minimise how long you're going to be on pit lane and stop. Car round through turn number 10, that's the car number 43. And in fact, actually, I want to talk about this train from P11 back to P22 here, Tom. That car is now moving again. That train at the moment is headed by Clint Shane Smith, the league admin for this series. And there is a lot of battles going on. And in fact, there is a battle between not Paul Mansell. Going to find it. They've actually dropped down a little bit. That was Ross Rizzo getting past Brad Watson for P number 17. And Brad Watson, he hasn't had the day he wanted. Started 8th, currently 18th. And he's going to pull off circuit, in fact. I think that's day done for Brad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him, isn't it? But Alonso's done it in Formula 1. If they feel that the car's not right and they feel they've got too much damage or something's not quite working for them, then they can retire the car. So he'll be upset with that. Hopefully he'll come back out. Don't know if he's going to take repairs and get it towed. So But looking a bit further up the grid now, the guys are starting to sort of form a little bit of a formation, starting to spread out a little bit, starting to think about their tactics. It's very much reminiscent of IndyCar that we saw the other weekend, where in the middle of the race, the guys start to settle down and get into a bit of a rhythm, and then I'm presuming, Jack, it's probably all going to come to a head towards the for the final 10 laps.
Yeah, that incident down at turn number 10 was between Dylan Shepherd and the number 46 machine of Guy Leach. Dylan just trying to go for a little bit of an optimistic move, I think. Wasn't able to get the car done. Guy didn't really see him coming into the corner as well. So that incident is done. They're both moving again, as it just looks as though everyone is going to start to settle down. Number 43, in fact, he is out. Dylan
Sorry
Shepherd.
to cut you off, Jack. We've got Joao Oliveira is making a move on Carlos Duiguez as he goes around the outers, goes up the inside. An easy move for him there. I'm not sure whether Carlos Duiguez has got too much damage coming into the first corner. Joao Oliveira gets massively out of shape but manages to hold it. What a save from him. So a brilliant bit of driving there. He's had to concede the position back to Carlos Duiguez, but he'll definitely get that position back, as I think Carlos Duiguez in the Audi R8, Jack, has got quite a bit of damage on straight line speed.
He does indeed, and Joao Oliveira needs to be careful, because if he loses that rear end, it can be dangerous. Hugo Preto as well. Actually, Joao Oliveira, he is in a Follow Me Esports sandwich, and I'm not sure whether he wants to be there at the moment. He's got Carl Duiguez in front in the Audi and Hugo Preto behind in the Mercedes, and for Joao Oliveira, that could be a pretty compromising situation.
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it? Because they've obviously got team tactics on their side. We've seen this in a lot of other real-life series as well as sim racing series, that you don't want to be stuck in between a team, because obviously the guy in front can back you into the faster guy behind, especially as we see Carlos Duiguez's car is damaged at the moment. He can back Joao Oliveira into his teammate there. So Joao Oliveira needs to get this move done as quickly as possible, and it could come down to the point where it's race critical for him. Looking a bit further up the grid, the guys at the front, the front runners, your top four, they're all going quite well and quite spread out at the moment, Jack. So, as we say, it's all tactics are starting to come into play now.
Yeah, tactics is definitely starting to come into play. Everyone's just starting to get a little bit more stretched out up and down your pack. And actually, John Roberts, I've just spotted him. He started 41st. He's just having a quiet day here today, Tom. He's already up to 28th. He's got no one around him, so he could actually make a few more positions and benefit off of other people's discomfort and problems that they've had. Kenny Roosen still trying to get past Reece Gukel. He is within a second, but cannot get the move done. I don't think he is really close enough. Ricardo Ferreira has broken away from Carlos Duiguez, who's currently in that battle with Joao Oliveira, and Hugo Preto is not far behind. That is your battle for P number 8 at the moment. And a couple of other guys behind. Looks as though Clint Exchange Smith, in fact, is under pressure from Victor Smolicic in the Triton Racing, sorry, number 93 Audi, and I think Clint will do well to hold off, but he is in the BMW, and that is a good car around here.
Yeah, it is a good car around here, especially in the corners. You can see coming through Lukey Heights how much more stable the BMW actually is compared to the Audi, and especially the Mercedes. The Mercedes guys are really starting to struggle at the moment through Lukey Heights, so I don't know whether that's tyres or what it seems to be, or whether it's the weather for them, but we know because of the V8 grunt that the Mercedes has, Jack, it does sometimes get a little bit upset coming out of tight corners when you mash on the power. So the guys in the Mercedes really do need to watch themselves around here, as we saw with Joao Oliveira on the previous few laps, that he's been having a little bit of trouble with the rear end stepping out. So interested to see how those guys play it out, and obviously that can destroy tyres as well further on in the race.
Your battle for position number 8 is still going on. They've actually closed up a little bit. Hugo Preto now onto the tail of Joao Oliveira. He's closed up that gap over the last couple of laps. Joao Oliveira going to get wide coming off of turn number 2, heading down to Stoner and Honda corner. Is Hugo Preto going to be able to make a move? He's going to look to the inside. Doesn't look like he's going to be early enough on the brakes, but Joao Oliveira going to be challenging Carlos Duiguez in the number 26 Audi. The two Follow Me Esports drivers are going to be putting Joao under a lot of pressure now, and he does not want to slip up. Going a little bit wide, coming through Siberia corner up into 7 and 8. Lukey Heights, as you said, Tom, these cars are starting to look a little bit squirrely. Tyres are going to start to become a little bit second-hand before long. Track temperature is quite cool today, 25 degrees on the track, 20 in the air. Winds 23 kilometres from the south. So quite windy here today as well, Tom, but you would expect it being a seaside track.
Yeah, it's always the same here at Phillip Island, isn't it? I know when we've raced here, Jack, in either single-seaters or GT stuff, the wind can be a bit of an issue for us with downforce. As usual, Oliveira there putting a little bit on the grass, so you can tell he's really having to push here to keep these guys at bay. Is Carlos Duiguez there? He's going to start coming under pressure, and this is the problem that we saw before, Jack. João Oliveira then with the Mercedes. Look at that power from the V8 as he just easily comes through. That's like IndyCar levels of slipstream there. We know Carlos Duiguez has got a few issues with either downforce, where he's got a little bit of engine damage, but that was way too easy for João Oliveira there to get past, Jack.
Power and speed, the Mercedes does show why it is one of the best cars in a straight line for GT3 racing. Hugo Prado now going to be putting his own teammate under pressure. Carlos Diego is going to hold the outside coming into Honda corner. Hugo Prado going to go down the inside. Once you're on the inside there, as long as you can get through the corner nice and easily, you've got the position, and that is what Hugo Prado does. Next target for him is going to be that 777 of João Oliveira, the two Mercedes. But yes, Tom, the Mercedes has got grunt, and the slipstream as well. Slipstream is important, and that front straight is the longest straight on the track, and you can get some serious speed going down into turn 1 up into that.
Yeah, but you just got to watch yourself as you come into the first corner, that it doesn't upset the car too much, because that's a blisteringly fast corner, that one, into turn 1, and then turn 2, obviously you're going to be braking while cornering, so it can really upset the rear end in these GT cars, and we've seen it so many times at different circuits. I know Monza, it can be an absolute nightmare, as well as a Snetterton 200 for stuff like that. But these guys now, as Hugo Prado, he's going to starting to put a lot of pressure on the 777 of João Oliveira, as we see them coming down the back straight now. How much of that V8 grunt has he got? I know they're both in Mercedes, but the slipstream of Hugo Prado, you can see it. He is just gaining time all the time as João Oliveira there, Jack. So he's going to really...
Sorry, Tom. Bonduelle down to the inside into turn number 1. He's going to get that top 10th position off Carlos Dieguez. Dieguez just not being able to answer anything to the Mercedes. The 442 through SRT Esports. Almost contact between the 26 and the 442. Carlos Dieguez going to drop down to 11th position. He is definitely struggling in that Audi. Fuel economy is not going to be great as well, so he's going to have to take a little bit more fuel. Next car behind Carlos is going to be Clint Shane Smith in P number 12, and he is already closing that gap. We could have a 5-way battle for position number 8 before long. Ricardo Ferreira too far up the road for João Oliveira to battle, I believe. But yes, Bonduelle using the advantage of that Mercedes power to get it down the inside into turn number 1.
Yeah, that Mercedes at this track is seriously got some power there. It seems to be the car to be in, which I didn't actually expect, Jack. I really thought the BMW was going to be the car to drive in. As we see the guys out front, they're just starting to pull away now. But Kenny Roosen is now starting to put pressure on Reese Cool here. As we say again, as they come out to the last corner, there's going to be that massive Mercedes grunt that's going to power him along. So he's really going to be thinking to himself now, building up to that pass, where can he do it? And I really think it's going to be on Honda corner, Jack.
Smolicic has managed to get his way past Clint Shane Smith, so the 93 is now released to go and chase down that 26 of Carlos Dieguez. Hugo Prado, João Oliveira. Is Hugo going to be able to do anything into turn number 1? There is a car exiting pit lane ahead of them. Will not factor into this battle. No, he cannot. Mercedes versus Mercedes. Clearly not the same kettle of fish as Mercedes versus Audi that we saw with Carlos Dieguez. And Dieguez is making his way... Well, he's starting 9th, actually, so he's only lost 2 positions on where he started. Hugo Prado started 17th. He's up to 9th. João Oliveira started 21st. Is up to 8th. So those two guys are having great races so far. The traffic ahead of these guys is Luca Fioravanti, and in fact, actually, that's an SRT Esports, so that could play into the hands of Bonduelle. And Team Tactics here holding up those two drivers ahead of Bonduelle, and Bonduelle has now caught up to João Oliveira and Hugo Prado, so this is now a 3-way battle.
Yeah, Bonduelle's flying, isn't he, in that fantastic Mercedes livery. It looks brilliant. So the 3 Mercedes there of Bonduelle, Prado and Oliveira, they're going to be having a 3-way battle as they come up towards Lukey Heights, kicking up dust as they come through then over the hill. That's a fantastic shot we've got there. So as they come over the crest, and we've got a back marker there, so they'll be screaming blue flags into their team radios. So these guys now starting to bunch up, Jack, and I'm really, really interested to see who's going to come out of this on top for 8th position.
8th position. This battle, Bonduelle actually going to go wide, coming out to turn number 11 into Swan Corner for the 15th time. Looking at another 28 laps remaining in this race. 38 minutes so far, so Bonduelle has dropped off the back of this pack. Hugo Prado now, he just cannot get close enough to get past João Oliveira, Tom. I'm just wondering, I know Prado has got a little bit of damage on that Mercedes somewhere because of the contact that he had before. I believe it might have cleared itself. But Hugo Prado almost into the back of João Oliveira coming down into turn number 2, not being able to get the move done, but he did look like he was trying to go very deep into that corner. He is starting to put a lot of pressure on the 777 now.
He is, yeah, as they come up towards Honda corner. I'm really interested to see what he's going to do here. Is he going to do his famous Hugo Preto move? No, he doesn't. He's too far back there. A little bit, but as we say, back marker coming to play. João Oliveira gets it a little, he gets quite upset coming through Honda corner there. And when I think he's starting to have problems with rear tyres, Jack, because we've seen it a few times now. That car looks very unstable, and Hugo is giving the door open to Hugo Preto to come through. As they come towards Lukey Heights, this is going to be a bit of a dodgy situation to pass here for Hugo Preto. He doesn't want to ruin the rest of his race. He looks down the inside, and there he goes straight through. João Oliveira, he had nowhere to look really there. He just had to concede the position because Hugo Preto was right on him. As João Oliveira goes very, very deep, nearly hits the back of that Mercedes there, but a brilliant move there by Hugo Preto, Jack.
And this brings back into the fray Amaury Bonduelle. Obviously, Hugo Preto, risky move into Lukey Heights. It's not a place you want to try and pass, but he got the move done nice and clean. João Oliveira going to be demoted down to 9th. Hugo Preto showing why he is one of Iberia's best drivers, moving himself up into 8th. Amaury Bonduelle, he's going to want to get himself up the grid a little bit more. Coming down to turn number 1, has he got the overspeed on João Oliveira? Oliveira looks like he's really struggling now. That dirty air not being able to do almost contact between the two. Bonduelle just not going to be able to get the move done. Not there, mate. You need to wait. Try and do it down into Honda corner and then through Siberia, get that move consolidated.
Yeah, that's what he needs to do, doesn't he? He's getting a little bit excited, Bonduelle, now as he looks towards the left, weaving this way, and that sticks one up the right-hand side through Honda corner, and that makes an easy move for him there. So he moves up into 8th position, 9th position, so a brilliant move there for Amaury Bonduelle, Jack. Absolutely fantastic.
João Oliveira had nothing to answer for that one. Amaury Bonduelle now going to be looking forwards to that number 77 machine of Hugo Preto, who has been making his way up the order. Ricardo Ferreira, he's now actually come down to turn 10. Gap between Ricardo Ferreira and Hugo Preto is 7 seconds, so Hugo has a lot of work to be able to catch up to that 7th place machine, but that is one of his teammates, so it could happen at some point. Hugo Preto at the moment looking strong, but Amaury Bonduelle is making his way up the field very quickly now.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He doesn't want to be held up too much by Hugo Preto, as I think he might just have the edge on him here a little bit. So he's going to be piling on that pressure as much as he can, and Ferreira's going to be looking in his mirrors and thinking to himself, I've got this pack coming up towards me, and you know they're on a running streak here, Jack. They're on quite a roll, so I'm interested to see how these guys play it out. Also, we're going to be looking towards pit stops at some point during this race, so it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. But looking right up ahead, El Nabi there, a brilliant drive from him, Jack. The two teammates there have got this absolutely locked down in the Mercedes cars.
Yeah, Luis Paulo Galán, Foz and El Nabi working together well to slowly break away from Damien McPhee in the 722 Pure Racing Team Audi. And Damien McPhee just hasn't got enough to answer for these two guys. And Luis Paulo Galán is a driver who every team wants on their driver list, and who a lot of the time most teams cannot get hold of. Luis Paulo Galán as well, showing why he's one of the best. Foz and El Nabi, usually seen, I believe, in Evolution Racing Team colours, but racing for a different team here in this series. John Piesnik still in 4th, Reece Gugel in 5th. Kenny Roosen in 6th, hasn't been able to challenge Reece for P number 5. Ricardo Ferreira in 7th. And then that battle we've been concentrating on P8, Hugo Preto, P9, Amaury Bonduelle, and 10th, João Oliveira. That is your top 10 as it stands at the moment, after nearly half an hour of racing.
Sorry, Jack, Hugo Preto is round. That is that Mercedes, and we said that it was a little bit unstable for him. We said that a couple of laps ago, that he was starting to struggle, as well as João Oliveira with the rear tyres. He will be kicking himself through there. Looks like he got a little bit too early on the power for him, and the car just went round, and he had no way of saving that car. So Amaury Bonduelle will be smiling that helmet of his, because basically he's just had a freebie there, Jack.
He has indeed. He had a freebie, and Hugo Preto not had those rear tyres. Going to be a little bit worse for wear now, and in fact he is gone. He is out of this race. Hugo Preto is out and away. So day over for the number 77 machine. Everyone's going to get bumped up a position. That leaves Amaury Bonduelle in 8th position. The SLT esports driver having an awesome job in the 442, but he is all of a sudden under pressure from João Oliveira. Probably lost a little bit of time while having to do avoiding action on Hugo Preto. João Oliveira not being able to get a move done, Tom, but this is a battle we need to keep our eye on.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this on RaceSpotTV for you here at Phillip Island. I hope you're enjoying this at home as much as we are in the commentary box here in Australia. It's brilliant racing here. I didn't actually believe it was going to be as exciting as it has been so far. There's a lot of dust being kicked on the track there through Lukey Heights. But the guys are really fighting well. João Oliveira fell back a little bit, and he's coming under pressure from Carlos Duiguez there, but now he seems to be picking up the pace a bit. So I don't know whether the team have got into his radio and said, come on, you really need to start putting on the pressure now. Yeah, I wonder whether he has, or I wonder, well, has broken away just a little bit. And in fact, there is an SRT Esports driver up ahead. That is Luca Fioravanti, who could play into hands, but the number 336 Mercedes does have damage as he comes down into turn number 1 for his 11th lap. He's quite a way down the field. The leader's now onto lap number 20 of this event. And, well, Tom, pit stops will be starting soon. And, in fact, we have got some battles a bit further down the field. We need to give these guys some love. Danny Davis and Paul Mansell for number 16. These guys have been having a good scrap throughout this race. And, as well, further down, Cedric Bolland and Jamie McKnight, I believe, are going at it. Or it might be David Van Broek, actually. Yeah, these guys further down the grid are having a good battle, aren't they? They can't really hold a candle in terms of race pace to the guys in front, but we don't know whether they're doing it because of fuel saving for pit stops, because obviously they have got that option. There's Guy Leach there. He's having quite a good race. You haven't really mentioned him in the number 46 car with a brilliant Rossi paint job on that car, but he's putting a lot of pressure on Jacopo Sigoli at the moment. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong there. But yeah, he's having a really good race. Some damage to the front right of Guy Leach's car though, so that might be impeding him a little bit, Jack. Jacopo Sigoli as well, actually, at the moment is your biggest mover and shaker. He's 18 positions from where he started, and Guy Leach was involved in that incident a bit earlier on with Dylan Shepherd, Tom, which is where he's got the damage from, I believe. That could be hindering him a little bit, but that number 41 BMW is looking strong. A little bit further up, Simon Feigl, currently on his own, has got damage to the number 85 Audi. Paul Mansell, Danny Davison as well, they're going to be having a good little scrap. Car ahead, who's just going to get it out of the way, that is going to be Phillip Worley. He hasn't had the race he wanted. He's only on his 9th lap. He is down in 33rd position, 11 laps down, so he is just getting to the end here, Tom, to get some points. Yeah, fair play to him. If the car was damaged or he had a little bit of an incident at the start of the race, and he's kept the car going, hasn't he? Got it into the pits, let the team do their work on it that they need to, and got him back out again. Looking for a bit further up the grid then, as we see Nick Cummins now starting to put pressure, or is that a back marker? Sorry, I've lost my screen. Sorry, no, Nick Cummins then. So he's having a good race, a couple of back markers that he's coming up to, and he's starting to put pressure on the guys in front. So he's having quite a good race as well. He is currently 3 laps down. He goes right up close to the car in front, but doing well there, Jack. So these don't count out these back marker guys at the moment, Jack. They're really pushing hard. Nick Cummins is 3 laps down, Tom. I know I said. Oh, fair enough, I wasn't listening. Nick Cummins, yeah, he's not had the race he wanted. The TTL Esport driver did start 28th, he's currently 29th, so hasn't lost many positions. A little bit of contact, it looks like, with Chris Hill ahead of him, but Chris is a little bit further up the field. He's 23rd at the moment, so he is 3 laps ahead of that car of Nick Cummins. So Nick Cummins is, again, one of the drivers who is just here for the points. Hugo Preto is gone. John Roberts, your first driver, he's had a pit stop, so he's got his pit stop done at the halfway stage. He's going to go for a slightly different strategy. I expect the leaders will run those tanks dry and then bring their cars down onto the lane, so just to shorten that pit stop, Tom. Yeah, they will do, won't they? It's all about engine modes of these GT3 cars as well. Knowing from a couple of seasons that I've ran the Ferrari, you can do quite a lot of fuel saving with that car, and now as I'm going on to the Audi for the next few seasons that I'm going to run it, if you put it into fuel saving mode, it's amazing how much they will actually not drink throughout the race. So there's a lot of tactics that will come into play with this. I mean, but the guys out in front, they're having a really clean race at the moment, so some great racecraft from them. They've got quite a lot of open air, so hopefully they're not finding it too disinteresting, but they're having a good fun. Kenny Roosen now, he's having quite a good race actually. He's started in 12th on the grid and now he's moved his way up to 6th, Jack, so a good race from him so far. But he is under pressure from the number 30 Audi of Ricardo Ferreira. Ricardo has got his foot down a little bit more. I reckon he's done his fuel saving he needs to do, and he is now on the loud pedal, trying to close that gap between himself and Kenny Roosen in the 333 SRT Esports Mercedes. And Ricardo Ferreira, he will want to get his way up the field a little bit more. He did start 5th, so he is down 2 positions on where he started today, Tom. But he is looking like he's going to be strong for the final half of this race. Yeah, he is, isn't he? I know he started in 5th and he's moved down to 7th. But as we say before, tactics can come into play to that, to whether he can gain a few more places. As we look at our previous battle, an exciting battle between Amory Bondale and João Oliveira, Bondale has managed to pull out a bit of a gap on Oliveira there, as the car, that Mercedes, looking like we said before, Jack, with rear tyres, is still squirreling about there. It looks like Danica Patrick's Dallara from the Indy 500 was just not looking too stable. So a bit of a nightmare for him to drive there, and I've got to say, I wouldn't want to be driving that personally.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for Danica Patrick there in the 500, but a sad way to see her final race end. But these cars are looking like the Ritters are starting to struggle. I wouldn't expect to see anyone bring it down onto the lane to change tyres. It will be fuel only and maybe a windscreen tear off if they cannot see a thing. Obviously, 41 cars out on track, or 41 cars on track, it is going to kick up quite a lot of rubber. The track is quite rubbered in as well now, Tom. So visibility could be an issue, but it definitely isn't one that you maybe see in a prototype where the windscreens are much smaller. But Al Nabi as well, actually, he started to pull out a gap on his teammate Luis Paulo Gallen. Car exiting the pits, that's Danny Davison in the number 75 Mercedes. Nearly had an incident with Luis Paulo Gallen, but there was enough room there for them to get through. Damien McPhee still running out your podium positions at the moment.
Yeah, he's having a good races, Damien, isn't he? He's been fighting hard. He's got a lot of clear air for him, but he's been maintaining that gap to John Peasnick at the moment. As we see Kenny Roosen starting to come under a little bit of a pressure from Ferrero, as we said before, Jack. So he really has got on that loud pedal now, and we've seen that gap shrink for him there. So Ferreira really starting to pile on the pressure. Kenny Roosen will be looking in his mirrors and thinking, this guy's coming up really, really fast, so he might have to play a bit of a defensive game. But of course, and that does use more fuel. As we see there, Ferreira goes massively deep. I don't know what happened to Kenny Roosen there. He just got very slow out of Honda corner there, Jack.
Roosen looks as though he had a slightly different line. Ricardo Ferreira, he did go deep. He did avoid contact, which is good of both of them. They come up to Lukey Heights for the 24th time now. Ricardo Ferreira will want to make a move past. He is very slowly closing that gap. He is not close enough to make a move at the moment, but he will be very soon. There you go. You can see the difference in lines that they're taking. The Audi much tighter coming over Lukey Heights down into turn number 10. Very close now, just not close enough to make a move. And I think Kenny Roosen is starting to struggle because Ricardo Ferreira, that car looks a lot more planted as they come out of that final few section of corners out onto the straight to start lap number 25.
Yeah, we're seeing this quite a lot, aren't we? That the Audi seems to be quite a lot kinder on its tyres than the Mercedes is, and we think it's, as we said before, Jack, because that V8 grunt and the amount of torque that they're putting through the rears there. As we see, Ricardo Ferreira is now in the slipstream of Kenny Roosen. So Kenny Roosen, little tap of the brake going into turn 1, strains the car up nicely, but he is struggling here, it looks like, as they go for differing lines again. And Ricardo Ferreira seems to have this locked down in terms of the lines he's taken through the circuit. They're coming up towards Honda corner now, and I'm interested to see whether Ferreira's going to have a little bit of a look to the left, a little bit of a look to the right, just to see where he can make that move stick. So here we come up to Honda corner now, and as they brake, he's a little bit too far back at the moment, but differing lines again. He gets right up behind Kenny Roosen there, and Kenny Roosen, Jack, I think he's going to lose his place. He goes through Ferreira. So Ferreira makes the move on Kenny Roosen there. Don't know what happened to him. Maybe he got a little bit out of shape coming out of that corner, lit the rears up, and that just let Ferreira through. Yeah,
it looks as though he might have got a little bit out to the side and a little bit loose off of Honda corner, got over to the fire, come through turn number 5, which isn't really a corner if you ask me, into Siberian. Ricardo Ferreira had the move done as they come over Lukey Heights for the 25th time and into turn number 10. Kenny Roosen is not going to want to put that up, but I think that Mercedes might be starting to struggle now, and Kenny not being able to close. In fact, actually, Ricardo Ferreira's already got a good gap of about half a second over Kenny Roosen, and he's done that in half a lap there, Tom.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? So Ricardo Ferreira is really a one to watch now. I said at the start of the race, and I was interested to think to myself, now Ferreira, he qualified 5th, starting to move down the pack. I thought, you know, his lap times are average, he's doing all right. But now, obviously, as we can see, Jack, that tactic's coming into play, because now that Audi is absolutely flying here at Phillip Island.
It is indeed flying, and I think the race might start to go towards the Audis in the there at least. But Damien McPhee, he hasn't got the answer. He is the leading Audi in this race at the moment, the 722, but he hasn't got the pace to answer to the performance sim sport guys of Luis Paulo Gallen and Fossen El Nabi in the 097. Still your race leader. He has led from the drop of the green flag, got a good start. For those of you who remember, recap on the start was that El Nabi just got the jump and he went. No one has seen him since. No one's even tried to put his nose down, their nose down the inside of Forzan, and he has just led from the outside. A little bit of traffic ahead of him, but that won't phase that driver. He is still leading strong. The battle between Amarari Bonduel and Gio Oliveira as well has now phased out. Carlos Diego still holding out that P number 10, but he has now got pressure behind from Victor Smolojek. That is a battle we need to keep an eye on, because Victor has made his way up through the pack, started P24, Tom.
Yeah, he's done really, really well, hasn't he? 24th to 11th at the moment. So, as we say, the Audi is... That's the car to be in, isn't it? As Duegues comes under a little bit of pressure from Victor there, and Ross Rizzo getting involved as well. We haven't really mentioned the BMW too much during this race. Seems to be doing quite well on its tyres, not as much as the Audi, but as we can see, it's the Mercedes that is suffering at the moment. As they come down the back straight now, Ross Rizzo, and as you see Smoljek there getting a little bit too wide out of the last corner, which gives Ross Rizzo a great run as he looks out to the right there, coming into turn one. Victor there will be looking, thinking to himself, just let that go, coming out the last corner, and Ross Rizzo makes that move stick for 11th place. So a brilliant move there from him, Jack. Yeah, Ross Rizzo showing why he is a great driver. The number 93 is going to be challenging back, and he will want that P number 11 as much as Ross Rizzo does as well. Ross Rizzo, though, has got eyes forward to Carlos Duegues in the Follow Me Esports number 26 Audi R8 LMS, and look at that, the grip of the BMW showing why it's such a good car, especially around a little technical track like this. Victor Smolojek is going to go wide out of Honda corner just a little bit. Ross Rizzo going to just actually those cars look like they're sliding, coming through Siberia that time there, Tom. Heading up to Lukey Heights once again. Ross Rizzo not close enough to make a move, but I expect him to be in the coming laps. Yeah, the next couple of laps, I think he'll get this move done, but you can see how much more pace he gets. Very wide coming out of Lukey Heights there, does Ross Rizzo, doesn't he? So he had a little bit of a panic moment for him there. You see him try and slam on the brakes, but not too hard to bring the car around coming through Lukey Heights there, as he starts to put a lot of pressure on Carlos Duegues. João Oliveira, though, he's making moves up there, starting to pull out a gap to Carlos Duegues. Sorry, Tom. I've just noticed Carlos Duegues has gone around. Looks as though he's done it on his own. He's done the same thing as Hugo Preto did. So obviously, Follow Me Esports not liking that second to last corner. And the number 26 machine, he is going again, but he's down onto pit lane. I think that Carlos's day is over for a good position. So Follow Me Esports, they're struggling with that second to last corner. Yeah, they are, aren't they? Sorry, I didn't catch that on my camera there, but they're really quite struggling with that last corner. A few of their drivers just getting too early on the power and just stick it on the grass, and then ruining their races for them. So Carlos Duegues was having a fantastic race, but he's now down in pit road. Looks like he's going to be getting out of the car and going back into the pit garage for an ice cream here in Australia. So unfortunate for him, but as we look a little bit further up, Victor's now got that place back, so he'll be happy with that. And then Ross Rizzo starting to pull away from him now, as his BMW gets a little bit out of shape coming out of Honda corner, Jack. Can someone ring Guinness World Records? Because Carlos Duegues, I think, has just broken it for the fastest time of eating an ice cream there, Tom. He's back out onto track. He's done his pit stop, so obviously just electing to get that pit stop done early. He's had the mistake, so he's just going to bring it round to the end now. Battle between Kenny Roosen and Amaury Bonduel, and actually, Kenny Roosen and Ricardo Ferreira, that has settled out a little bit. Ricardo Ferreira just holding P number 6 at the moment, but Kenny Roosen has closed up over the last lap and a half or so, while we were concentrating on that number 26 machine there, Tom, and he's looking like he might be able to challenge for P number 6 once again, coming into turn number 2. Yeah, he is, isn't he? So I'm interested to see what he's going to do towards Honda corner as they come out of turn number 2. The Mercedes looking a lot more stable. So Kenny Roosen seems to have nursed his tyre a lot more than Ricardo Ferreira's done here. A little kick up of dust from the Audi, from the number 30 Audi. As Kenny Roosen, does he go up the inside? No, he doesn't. So he's just biding his time here, and he's thinking to himself, it's not worth me risking the rest of my race, because obviously they've seen a lot of cars have fallen off here to make that move done. So I can guarantee you, though, towards the next few laps, he will get that move completed. He will indeed. Kenny Roosen, I think, is an extremely strong driver, and is one of the drivers who you need to watch out for. Obviously, SRT Esports do have a team in the virtual racing school, iRacing GT World Championship, and I believe they will have even more drivers in it next year, Tom, with the likes of Kenny Roosen and also Amaury Bonduel. Those two drivers have done extremely well today. Kenny Roosen all of a sudden back onto the tail of Ricardo Ferreira in the number 30 machine, and looking though he might be able to challenge once again. Yeah, looking like he will be able to, won't he, as they're coming up towards the start-finish straight. There's a back marker there. I thought it was Reese Cool, but it's not. I thought he's fallen back. So Kenny Roosen now getting into the slipstream of Ricardo Ferreira, although Ferreira got a much better run as we see a car coming out of the pit lane, and this is going to upset him. And oh, that was a little bit. So Ferreira will have had a little bit of a seat of his pants moment as we see the Valentino Rossi car, the number 46 there, coming out of the pit lane, which has given Kenny Roosen a few more tenths on Ricardo Ferreira there.
Yeah, Kenny Roosen's got a good run off of 1 and 2. Guy Leach just getting in the way of this battle a little bit. Nothing he could do, though, doing the sensible thing and just staying to the outside. Kenny Roosen is he going to be close enough to challenge into Honda corner? No, he's not. But look at the gap. He's already closed up on Ricardo Ferreira. Well, the gap has just gone as soon as Ferreira's got on the loud pedal. The Audi V8 going to be screaming into Siberia corner for the 30th time. And it's going to be very soon that we're going to start to see these leaders come down onto the lane, Tom, to get their pit stop done. Obviously, they have an 80% fuel limit, but they might not have filled it just to be able to run a little bit of a lighter car throughout this race. Coming up through Lukey Heights, Kenny Roosen's dropped back a little bit now.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? But as you say, Jack, when we come up to pit road, but whether the guys are what fuel level they're going to take, so they'll have their engineers talking to them. They already know their pit strategy that they're going to take. But looking at this Kenny Roosen and the number 30 of Ricardo Ferreira battle, Kenny Roosen seems to be able to get into the corner a lot faster, make up a lot more time. But as soon as Ferreira gets on that loud pedal, as you were saying, Jack, he just pulls away. So the Audi seems to be a lot more kinder on his tyres here, and they've got a lot more grip coming out the tight and fast corners.
The Audi as well just seems to be able to benefit off of the corners. The Mercedes is very quick, but you have to be very careful coming off the corners. You're putting a lot of power through those rear wheels in the front engine car, and it is very easy just to lose that rear end. Whereas Ricardo Ferreira in the Audi, it's a rear engine car, so the weight is over the rear wheels, so there is a little bit more traction that you can use, so you can just stamp your foot down. Also, these cars do have traction control and anti-brake or anti-lock braking systems, so you can just stamp your foot on the pedal and stamp your foot on the power, but sometimes even the TC and the ABS isn't enough to save these cars down.
No, it's not. We've seen it so many times during when we've been practicing for our series is that we're racing, Jack. It's a bit of a nightmare. The traction control can be a hindrance as well. I know a lot of these guys will be running minimal ABS because I know some of them do run in GT as well, and I know I prefer to run without ABS on GT3 just because it's a lot easier to drive. But sometimes traction control isn't enough to save you, as we've seen for the second to last corner with a couple of the drivers losing it there. But as we can see, Jack, Kenny Roosen just hasn't got an answer for Ricardo Ferreira's pace here at the moment.
No, he doesn't, and I think actually that could be maybe a little bit of fuel strategy from Kenny Roosen. He is still within a second, so he can just sit in the draft and save some fuel here, Tom. That will mean that he might be able to get the undercut car down onto a couple of cars now bringing themselves down onto the pit lane. The 115 is going to be down at the moment. There is also a car leaving the pits. That is David Van Broek, the 007 boosted Mercedes, teammate to John Roberts. He is going to now be exiting turn 1. He has got his pit stops done and dusted. The top 19 so far haven't pitted yet. Apart from Clint Smith, he has pitted. He's currently P number 17, so he's going to be able to make up a few positions, Tom, when everyone else brings himself down onto pit lane.
Yeah, it looks to be that for Clint Smith at least, the undercut seems to be the way to go for him. He's been running well all race at the moment. He's gridded up in 20th, he's up to 17th, but obviously he has pitted. So he will gain a few more places there. So a quite good race for him as he comes up to the back marker, one of the back markers, or is that... No, sorry, that's Jacopo Sigoli is in the pits as well, pits from P16. So he gridded at P39. And then I was pitting from P16, so a brilliant race from him there. He's really moving up, as well as Paul Mansell's in the pits as well, in the number 46 car. Sorry, in the number 5 car in that Rossi livery.
Leader pits, actually. El Nabi is going to bring himself down onto the lane. Luis Paulo Gallant is not going to follow him, so Paulo Gallant is going to continue leading this race. Obviously, the fuel saving behind his teammate has helped him to go one lap longer. Damien McPhee as well, going to head out for one more lap. I would expect to see him down onto the lane extremely soon. John Piesnik as well, the 555 BMW onto the pit lane. Ricardo Ferreira stays out. Kenny Roosen stays out. So your top 10 now, and Amorai Bonduel as well. He's going to stay out on track. João Oliveira, Ross Rizzo, your top 10. Just a few drivers now coming down onto the lane. Obviously not feeling confident to go one more lap on their tank of fuel.
No, they won't be feeling... it's 6 or 1.5 dozen the other here, isn't it, about what move you take. Paulo Gallant, though, I think he's stayed out, and it's possibly team tactics are coming into this now. Whether he can then hold off Damien McPhee and then try and pull out a little bit of a gap so that when he does pit, he'll come out behind El Nabi again. So that'll be team orders, team tactics coming into play from their race engineers. But Paolo Gallen, a sterling drive for him. I can't really fault his driving here. Those two drivers out in front, him and El Nabi, have just been having a really brilliant time of it, Jack.
El Nabi as well, he's now stuck in, well, I'm not really going to call it traffic, but he's stuck behind João Oliveira. That could hold him up and lose him some time. So Paolo Gallen, he's going to stay out for one more again. This could play into his hands quite well here, Tom. Damien McPhee as well going to stay out for one more. Reece Guikel going to bring it down onto the lane. Ricardo Ferreira as well going to bring his car down to the lane. Kenny Roosen stays out for one more. We'll wait to see what Bonduelle does. So El Nabi, as I was saying, he's going to be stuck and losing time behind that 777 Mercedes of João Oliveira now.
Yeah, he will be, won't he? And he'll be. I'm interested to find out why the team, as Oliveira goes into the pit lane, so the 777 car there won't be holding up the number 97 of El Nabi anymore. But I'm interested to see why the team did pit him there. He came out in a bit of an awkward position. Obviously, it's not much of an issue for him now. But now he's got to get past. Who's he got to get past now? So he's got to get past Bonduelle now and Kenny Roosen to make up those places. But those guys still have got to pit, Jack.
Yeah, and also looks as though Luis Paolo Gallen and Carlos Dieguez is going to be dealing with a little bit of traffic in the form of Martin Silvassi in the 074 BMW. Teammate 2, John Piesnik, who has been running up in the top 5 all race today, Tom. And I mean, Luis Paolo Gallen managed to get past him nice and easily coming into Honda corner, having a little bit of a Bo Albert moment with his brake lights. Coming through Lukey Heights, giving him a bit of a tap to make sure he can get through the corner. And will Luis Paolo Gallen bring it down onto the lane this time? It's lap number 34 of this stint. That Mercedes must be running on fumes, and he is going to pit. So Luis Paolo Gallen going to bring it down onto the lane. Damien McPhee is going to follow. Kenny Roosen now coming through turn number 10 and turn number 11. He must follow now, Tom. These cars must be at the end of their fuel stints.
Yeah, it must literally be what's left in the injectors is powering these cars, because I don't know how they'll be on absolute fumes here at Phillip Island. But some guys still actually staying out, so it's interesting to see what they do with their fuel saving. And here we go then. So Paolo Gallen stops, and here, where is El Nabi on the track? So he's coming around the last corner now. So Paolo Gallen's still in the pits, and he's away now. So a good pit stop from his team there. El Nabi comes along, so it's literally going to be a cut down to the wire as they come out the pit lane now. Paolo Gallen comes out of the pits. Will he make him stick? Did Oliveira hold him up too much? Yes, he did. So Paolo Gallen takes the lead. That was all down to pit stops there. El Nabi was held up too much by Oliveira, and Paolo Gallen is now your race leader.
Damien McPhee wasn't been able to do enough to jump Foswan El Nabi, but El Nabi has been jumped by his own teammate, Luis Paolo Gallen. Will he be able to hold on for the remaining 10 minutes, 7.5 laps remaining in this race now, Tom? Will he be able to hold on from his teammate, who has been slightly faster all day? Or will Luis Paolo Gallen win round 1 of the International GT3 Championship? What do you reckon?
I think it's all going to come down. I don't think the team are going to get involved. I think it's all going to come down. They're going to let them race. I think Paolo Gallen, as we know, is a fantastic GT driver. I've watched him for quite a few years now, and he is one of the best that I've seen. So his defence game will be extremely strong. So El Nabi is really going to have his work cut out here. As Damien McPhee, fair play to him. You know, he stuck through third. Sorry, he had a good pit stop, but he just hasn't got that enough to answer to the two guys out in front.
No, he certainly doesn't. Damien McPhee, I think he's going to be settling for 3rd position now. Kenny Roosen, in fact, is under pressure from Ricardo Ferreira. Ricardo Ferreira going to look to the outside. Coming through turn number 10, wasn't be able to get the move done because Kenny Roosen had the optimum line through that corner. A little bit of a brave move there by Ricardo. Just sit and wait, but you'll be able to get him down into turn number 1 if that Audi has the power. But do not forget that Mercedes has the grunt of that V8 compared to the V10 in the Audi. And there you can just see Kenny Roosen nearly romping off into the distance, but in fact Ricardo Ferreira using the draft to his advantage coming down to turn number 1. I think turn number 4 is going to be your best bet, my friend, to be able to get that move done on Kenny.
Yeah, so he'll be thinking to himself now, he's got a little bit of a slipstream as Kenny Roosen's rear end steps out a little bit, got too much on the brake during the corner, so that's cost him a bit more time. Ferreira though, but look at that Mercedes grunt coming out the corner there. Look at the Mercedes grunt coming out the second corner. It's pushing really hard, and it just seems to be able to pull away if the car doesn't slip too much, as Ricardo Ferreira is too far back to make a move into Honda corner, although he goes very, very deep there, Jack, on Kenny Roosen. He's now right up behind him there.
Ricardo Ferreira has been extremely good on the brakes all race long. Coming through Siberia corner up to Lukey Heights, that is where the number 30 Audi has been strong all day. and he has been able to show how the Mercedes have been struggling over Lukey Heights. I think that rear engine setup on the Audi has been helping them. As in fact, actually, Kenny Roosen going very wide. Will this be able to give Ricardo Ferreira a chance coming down to turn 10? Don't think it will. Kenny Roosen going to hold on to be number 5 for now, but Ricardo Ferreira as well, he's getting close. John Piesnik has dropped back. He had a longer pit stop than everyone else. I think just getting some damage repair there, Tom, just to be able to get himself to the end. But Ricardo Ferreira, Kenny Roosen, this battle is going to be going for the next 6 laps as we come towards the end of this race. And Tom, what a cracking race this has been.
It's been brilliant, isn't it? I was a little bit sceptical, as I say, about Phillip Island. Never really been a fan of the circuit. But these guys are really starting to push hard now. So as we said earlier on at the start of the race, Jack, it's going to be the last 5 to 10 laps where this is really going to start to come into play. Kenny Roosen there. That second corner for the Mercedes really isn't good for that car. They get really out of shape, and he does it again. So he really needs to keep his wits about him, as Ricardo Ferreira is pushing really hard now. That Audi V8 sounding fantastic through Phillip Island. So pile on the pressure now. Really good on the brakes. Goes really deep. He has a look, nearly touched there. So Ricardo Ferreira absolutely on the limit here at Phillip Island.
Yeah, Ricardo Ferreira doing extremely well not to make contact with Kenny Roosen there. The number 30 Audi is looking strong. Battle up ahead. I will go and find out that's Chris Hill and Reese Goodkill. Chris Hill being lapped by Reese. So there is some lap traffic for Kenny Roosen and Ricardo Ferreira to deal with. That could play into this battle and much more. Ricardo Ferreira, look at that. Much tighter lineup over Lukey Heights. He's going to close that gap by a couple of tenths now, Tom. Down into turn number 10. Kenny Roosen holding that inside line nice and strong, making sure that Ricardo Ferreira cannot stick his nose down the inside, because Kenny knows that as soon as Ricardo gets his nose there, he is day done. Down into P number 6 for Kenny. Ricardo coming around the final corners to start lap number 38. 5 laps remaining now in this motor race. Ricardo Ferreira, can he make any moves?
Yeah, he's right up in the slipstream, isn't he? He's going to be tucked in now, right behind that big rear wing of the Mercedes. Looking to the left a little bit, sticks the wheels on the curb so he uses all the track that he can. Following Kenny Roosen there. Kenny Roosen defending hard now as we come up to a few back markers. We don't want them to get in the way of this battle, and Kenny Roosen certainly doesn't want them to get in the way of this battle, because he knows that Ferreira is going to be right up behind him. As they come up now towards Honda Corner, Ricardo Ferreira is going to be pushing really, really hard. We know how good he is on the brakes, so let's see what he can do here. He might be a bit too far away. Brakes hard. The back marker gets in the way, so Marshall's waving the blue flags furiously to try and let these two guys through. But Ricardo Ferreira just not close enough there, Jack, to get that move done.
Blue flags as well. Only advisory in this series, not compulsory. Chris Hill going to get out of the way. Good choice not to interrupt this battle. Coming up into Lukey Heights once again. This is where the Audi is strong, and Ricardo Ferreira is closer this time, Tom. Is he going to be able to put it up the inside? Kenny Roosen going to take his much wider line that we're used to seeing, but he's going to be able to hold that inside coming down into turn number 10. Ricardo Ferreira once again not close enough. He's going to try around the outside. Is he going to be able to get the move done? No, he's not. They're still going to be side by side. I think, no, Kenny Roosen going to hold on to position there. Whoa, that was so close there to disaster for both of them. Good racing from these two. Ricardo Ferreira, he's going to lose some time. Probably should have stayed behind there, Tom, and tried it to turn number 1.
Yeah, he probably should have waited there a little bit more, but these guys have a lot of respect for each other in this series, and it is really, really good to see, because we know, Jack, as we know, a lot of series the guys do end up bumping each other off a lot of the time, but here, this is really great racing, this. This reminds me of some really 90s GT stuff. But Ricardo Ferreira falling a little bit back behind there, so he might be just biding his time a little bit as he gets a much better line through turn 2. So he's a little bit closer now, coming up into Honda Corner. Kenny Roosen knows that he's going to have to defend for his life until the end of this race. So will Ricardo Ferreira have another little look? I think he's again too far back, Jack, which he is, although he goes way deep again. No, he doesn't. He actually makes that line stick, so he's brilliant on the brakes, is Ferreira. That Audi seems to be holding up really, really well for him here today.
Yeah, it does indeed. Clint Smith has managed to get his way past Nicholas Lavich for P number 12. Just seeing that move happen on my timing screens. But we're going to keep with this battle now. Ricardo Ferreira, Kenny Roosen, two great names in the world of iRacing, GT racing, and two which very often meet each other out on track. Coming through Lukey Heights once again. Ricardo Ferreira not close enough to make a move down into turn number 10, but Kenny Roosen, look at that, he's going to go wide off the 10. They're going to go side by side in the second to last corner. Can Ricardo Ferreira try and get the undercut coming off of here into Swan Corner 4 the 39th time? No, he cannot. Ricardo Ferreira going to once again stick behind, but he is now in the drive coming down into turn number 1 for the 40th time, and still fastest lap is going to be Fonzo El Nabi. He's still behind his teammate of Luis Paulo Gallen that battle is just going to be line and stern for now. They've got about 3 laps remaining in this race, so 3 laps remaining for these two as well to decide who is going to round out your top 5. Ricardo Ferreira not going to be close enough into turn number 2 this time to make a move.
No, he's not, is he? But he did have the slipstream, and he's a lot closer this time coming up into Honda corner as Ferreira. He's got to get this move done now. This is starting to become race critical for him here at Phillip Island in Australia. But this has been brilliant racing so far. So Ferreira looks, he's still quite far back coming off the second corner, Jack. It's just that Mercedes grunt that seems to push him through. And he doesn't make that move stick. So I really think it's going to be the corner, turn 10 after Lukey Heights, where he's going to get this move done, Jack.
I do as well. 336 stopped out of Honda corner. Tom, if you can, could you go and discover what's happened there to that driver? I'm not sure who that is exactly, but it looks as though he has got going once again. No other cars involved by the looks of it. So this battle's still carrying on, coming through Lukey Heights once again. Ricardo Ferreira not being able to get the move done. He's still on the tail of Kenny Rooson's, mirrors full for Rooson's of that number 30 Audi, and Ricardo Ferreira just can't challenge this, Tom. He's not close enough, and he hasn't got the overspeed on that Mercedes. That Mercedes power is showing to be useful now for Kenny Rooson's.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's really good for that car. It's a good advert for Mercedes and GT3 racing. That the sheer grunt, the power that it's got going up the back straight and everything, that he can't make that stick. But the 336 that we previously reported on just took a little bit too much curve there. So unfortunate for him, he didn't make that move stick in the end, and just lost the rear end and ended up on the grass. But coming back to our battle now with the number 30 of Ricardo Ferreira, Kenny Rooson. Kenny Rooson now starting to put up a little bit of a gap there, Jack. So as Ferreira backs off to take the points, what do you think here?
I'm not sure. I think Ricardo Ferreira is going to take this one to the line. I wonder whether Kenny Rooson's just got the legs a little bit over Ricardo Ferreira now. Simon Feigl has called it a day. He is down onto the pit lane and is out of his car. That number 85 Audi is going to be stopped and not going any further. Ricardo Ferreira and Kenny Rooson. This battle still going on. Ferreira has closed the gap slightly. Kenny Rooson was faster last time round, but not by much. So Ricardo Ferreira now going to be looking to go into Lukey Heights once again. You can see the difference in lines between the number 30 and the number 333. Coming down to turn number 10, this is going to be where he's going to be able to get the move done, because that's where that car is strongest, or into Honda corner. All he needs to do through this next section of corners, Tom, is stay on the tail, try not to lose much time, and he just can get it down the inside. As in fact, we have the drivers of Luis Palagal and Fowen El Narbi. They're going to be crossing the line. White flag flies, 1 more lap to go after 60 minutes of action here at Phillip Island.
Yeah, so the white flag flies, and Ferreira knows he's got it all to do now. This really is race critical for him here. I hope you're enjoying this at home as much as we are up in the commentary box, and as much as the Hugo is in the production suite there. So we're having a really good race here at Phillip Island. So Ferreira right on the back now, coming up into Honda corner, really pushing hard. He'll have the team radio saying just absolutely just go for it. You've got the car, you've got the tyres, you've got the fuel. Just absolutely pile that pressure onto Kenny Rooson in the Mercedes-Benz. So as he does now, Ferreira really late on the brakes, and he goes quite wide there, but does actually make it stick. But now his last chance, Jack, I think is going to be through Lukey Heights and into turn 10.
Clock ticks down to 0. This time around, we will have the checkered flag out. We are keeping an eye on the battle between Ricardo Ferreira and Kenny Rooson, but Luis Palagal, he's held off Fowen El Narbi. He got the jump on the pit stops, and he is going to round turn number 11 into Swan Corner for the final time to win round number 1 of the International GT3 Championship. 15 more rounds to go for Luis Palagal, but he has got his year off to a good start. Crosses the line and wins. From second place is going to go to Fowen El Narbi. Third to Damien McPhee, the first Audi across the line. Battle between Ricardo Ferreira and Kenny Rooson's. Kenny Rooson's has managed to hold on to it. Rhys Goukil going to cross the line to finish 4th. Kenny Rooson is going to hold off Ricardo Ferreira in the closing stages of this race to finish 5th. Ricardo Ferreira going to finish 6th. Kenny Rooson's teammate of SLT Esports rounding the final corner of Amarari Bonduel, going to finish 7th. Ross Rizzo going to come across in 8th. John Peasnick lost time in the pit stops, going to finish 9th. And João Oliveira, he hasn't yet finished the lap. And in fact, is João going to be able to challenge for 9th position on John Peasnick? They're going to go side by side, drag race to the line. John Peasnick just going to hold off João Oliveira. That rounds out 60 minutes of action here from Road Atlanta, Phillip Island. And as everyone just finishes this race, we will take you down to your final finishing positions. well, as I said, Luis Paulo Galán, what a drive, kept it nice and clean in second, and managed to get the jump on Fawaz El Nabi. Strategy not working for him. Luis Paulo Galán, your winner here at Phillip Island. Fawaz El Nabi going to finish in second. Damien McPhee going to finish in third. Reece Google going to finish in fourth. Kenny Rooson holding off Ricardo Ferreira. He's going to finish fifth. Ricardo finished in sixth. Amaury Bondewell, what a race for him. Made his way up from 15th, finishing seventh. Ross Rizzo going to finish eighth. John Piesnik going to finish ninth. And João Oliveira going to round out your top 10.
Victor Smolajek then, good race from him. Started 24th, finished 11th, can't argue with that, as well as Clint Shane Smith. Started 20th and finished 12th, so he did really well there. Nicholas Laubish in 13th and Carlos Duiguez in 14th, so he dropped off a little bit at the end there. Paul Mansell, solid, consistent race from him, up to 15th, and Danny Davidson takes 16th. Martin Svilvazzi comes in 17th, Cedric Bolin in 18th, Jacobo Sigoli is in 19th, and then Guy Leach rounds out your top 20 here.
David Van Broek from Boosted is going to finish in 21st. Chris Hill going to finish 22nd. Leonardo Mark going to finish 23rd. Nielsen Trosky is going to finish in 24th. John Roberts, nice clean race from him, going to finish in 25th. Jamie McKnight is going to be in 26th. Oh, in fact, actually, these are your non-finishers now. Just quickly run you through them. Jamie McKnight, Simon Feigl, Nick Cummings actually was running at the end, but had a little bit of bad luck towards the start. Wasn't able to finish where he probably wanted to. Luca Fiovinati going to finish in, and Philip Worley, Hugo Preto, Brad Watson, Dylan Shepherd, Alessandro Bachalega, Lawrence De Rijk, Joshua Skin, Jay Patchouli, Jake Burton, Jordan McDonald, Nick Rowland, and Anthony Winkleman are going to round out your 41 car grid. Biggest mover and shaker, the number 41 machine of Jacopo Sigoli in the BMW Z4 GT3. And Tom, just before we go for a quick break, sum up that race in one word.
Oh, fantastic. There you go. Brilliant. Awesome.
We're going to take a quick break here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. We'll be back for post-race coverage here from Phillip Island and round one of the International GT3 Championship. One hour of racing comes down to the final corner, and well, action-packed racing here at Phillip Island for round one of the International GT3 Championship. They've got themselves off with a bang, showing why they are a good GT3 series for you to watch. And well, Tom, before we quickly go down to some drivers to interview, what can we take out of this race going forward, knowing that we have such a great schedule coming up?
What can we take out of this, Jack? Well, the guys at the front, really good driving, but I've got to say to them, the midfield drivers, absolutely brilliant, and I'm really interested to see further on into the championship how these guys go on. They've got more difficult circuits coming up. I know Bathurst for them is going to be a bit of a nightmare, as it is for me the amount of times I've driven it, but really excited to see how these guys get on. A couple of the midfield guys can, maybe push themselves up, but Ricardo Ferreira for me, he was driver of the day, absolutely brilliant, pushed really hard, thought it good fuel saving, etc, etc. So Ricardo for me, you're my driver of the day.
And well, that battle between Kenny Rooson and Ricardo Ferreira at the end, that was close. I didn't know which way it was going to go. And again, with the lead as well between Luis Paulo Gallen and for El Nabi, those two did a sterling job at the front, just running line astern. I thought El Nabi had it in the bag, but he just didn't have the goes to do it. And well, unfortunately, our winner Luis Paulo Gallen hasn't quite made it to the interviews just yet. But Tom, you are going to be standing. You are standing on standby with your third place finisher from Pure Racing Team in the number 72 machine, Damien McPhee. Here we go.
Damien, great race from you. Brilliant stuff. You managed to finish third. Looks like you didn't quite have it on the Mercedes cars there, but it was absolutely brilliant racing from you. Did you think at any point you could catch the two front runners, or was it just a case of just holding back and taking as many points as you could?
Yeah, mate, thanks. Nah, not today. I think that weather, the Mercs were too good. All I was hoping for was a few mistakes out of them, but they didn't seem to come.
Yeah, we saw that you were pushing hard, and after the pit stops as well. But we noticed that you pitted quite late as well. Was there any reason for that, or were you just trying to get the overcut or undercut, as it were, on the two front running guys?
Yeah, I think if you pitted early, I think the tyres were had it as they were. You know, I think you just would have lost time coming in any earlier.
Yeah, it's been brilliant racing here at Phillip Island, and obviously with round two, we go to Zolder. So in Zolder, is it going to be the same sort of tactics, or are you going to be looking to maybe shake it up a little bit?
No, I think Phillip Island was probably the worst track for the Audi for the series. So moving forward, I think we're going to have a good car, so we should be able to be at the front. But want to congratulate Louis on that win. It was flawless drive, mate. Great fuel saving too. That was a great job.
Okay, mate, that's brilliant stuff. Just before we end, is there anyone else that you'd like to thank?
Just my team, Pure Racing Team. All the boys there always do a good setup. So yeah, cheers.
Brilliant stuff, and we look forward to seeing you at Zolder.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Tom, finishing off this broadcast now before we wrap up. Just going forward, give us one track you're excited to see for one. Actually, in fact, before we go, late arrival to the interviews. I'm going to be standing by with Foz and El Nabi, and Foz, you had an awesome start, managed to get the jump there, and just take us through what happened at the pit stops. We saw you drop back. Well, maybe he just hasn't quite got us yet. So, Tom, before we wrap up this broadcast, one track you're looking forward to for the rest of the season. Go.
For me, I think I'm really looking forward to Belle Isle, but mostly I am actually looking forward to Bathurst. It always brings fantastic racing, whether it's V8 supercars or GT, either in iRacing or real life. So, yeah, brilliant.
And well, in just 2 weeks' time, we'll be heading to the other side of the world, to Belgium, to Circuit Zolder for 2 30-minute races and hopefully the same amount of action. First of all, before we wrap up, let's give a shout out to everyone who gets it done at RaceSpotTV. Our cameras are provided by Istvan Balau of TrackCams22.com, and our overlay is designed by Andreas Werner of Andvern Designs. App development and ATVO providing you your official animations on RaceSpotTV is by Simon Grossman, and live timing unfortunately wasn't available today, but always provided by Nick Thyssen. And well, Jack Stiles alongside Tom Jacobs, Hugo Luis up in the production truck for us. We will see you in 2 weeks' time at Circuit Zolder for more action. And well, it's the day is only just starting. Do not take your eye off this series. It's got a lot more to come. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Good day.